Hello everybody, I'm NecroVMX. Welcome to my channel, and you are listening to POTATOCAST. Obviously, going to follow up on the last couple episodes. Did an episode 2 weeks ago where I interviewed Juice Lee, then I did the one last week where I talked about having had lost my job, and that obviously was the big one. I got a lot of comments, and I do want to go over your comments. That's going to be the bulk of this, is sort of going over your comments and reacting to... I'm sorry, hold on, I got to kill a bug. Did I get him? I got him. Okay, he's dead as shit. Sorry about that. Yeah, just sort of like, going over it. I did get to read, most of them, if not all of them, but I'm going to read them out and talk about them. I wish I got that many comments on the Juice Lee thing. I thought he was a great guest. I don't often have guests, and he did me a huge favor by coming by here, and I was trying to do him a favor. I hope at least some of you guys went and watched his video or something, because I was very disappointed to get like no comment. I got some likes, but no comments. That was disappointing. But let's read the comments. We're gonna start with the oldest down at the bottom here. So Robert the Music Man says, "Time to go postal with wits. Time for some mind game revenge." I feel you. I get where you're coming from in that. But I'll be honest with you, ain't nobody got time for that. I don't have time for it. It's not worth my time. It's the sort of thing you think about for fun, but there's really no purpose to it. Brandon Kaplan, me and him actually met up a couple of days ago, but let me read what he said here. "Sorry to hear about your situation. Good luck with everything else. If you need something, don't hesitate to call me up. Apparently, because you weren't one of their pawns, they felt they could just sacrifice you. If you get desperate for work, I could hook you up here, but I don't know what the pay is like, and the demands are high. Unfortunately, it is daytime hours." And I might have to take you up on that depending on how things go. Just even if it's just a temporary measure, we'll see how it goes. Any pay is better than no pay, right? Brandon did meet up with me. We went out for a lunch and got to meet his coworker Matt, who seemed like a pretty cool guy. And that was really just a catch up, because we used to hang out all the time. Life takes a turn. He's married, he's got 2 kids, and and I had 2 jobs. Now I don't, but I have 1 job. But which is because our studios doesn't make much money. But just getting really super busy, and that's just the kind of thing it is. And the only time we ever talk was like on Facebook or right here through YouTube. But that was pretty cool to meet up with him again. Nick Jackson says, "I share your pain, man. I got laid off from my job 3 months ago myself after working my ass off for an entire year." Yeah, I mean, I obviously I feel your pain too. I mean, imagine if it was 4.5 years and you were one of their best employees, and then they just like, as Juice said, basically, you're fired, don't ask questions. That's basically what it was. Tara of Shadow Beast Gaming says, "Good luck with everything. That's horrible. Shame companies don't care about anything but themselves, and management is inhuman at times." Yeah, management was the main issue at this place, and it's a rough situation in a healthcare field, because you're dealing with people's lives, and I always got the feeling that once you go above the role of the CSEs to supervisors and up, so many of them just cared. I don't even want to say about money or about, they cared about their own careers. They cared about, getting their power and keeping it, and getting the higher pay and keeping it, and being able to be secure in their job, damn everything else. I've worked in these kinds of places for a long time, and that's sadly been the situation in all of them. At first, I thought this place was different. When I joined them, 4.5 years ago, it seemed like they were a lot different and they were a lot better, but things changed over time. They were in the process of already changing when I started there, and people were telling me how it was getting worse and how it used to be a lot better, and how some of the changes in management were not for the better. And I would hear about, from people that worked there longer than I had, about supervisors that they used to have that were so much better than the current crop, and then I was the one kind of saying that towards the end, where it was like, yeah, we used to have much better supervisors. But yeah, thank you for the comment. Hunter P. Brown, that's paid, and sounds like you and me are in the same boat when it comes to care facilities and getting videos on YouTube uploaded. Yeah, I mean, luckily I have such a backlog that I always have stuff to upload. But then, as I explained in last week's episode, it got to the point where I would upload them, and then I couldn't even find the time to take the 10 minutes to publish the videos. So that was getting rough. Moving on, NQFish23 said, really sorry to hear about your job loss. Right to work is Koch brothers bullshit, and I'm sorry you're on the wrong end of a corrupt policy. I hope you can land on your feet and get healthy and some rest in the meantime. Yeah, rest is not a problem. I've been trying to keep myself busy and whatnot. Obviously looking for a job, but also just trying to keep myself busy with Kazarth stuff and whatnot. But also at the same time not going to the insane lengths that I was before. Burning the candle at both ends and taking a blowtorch to the center of it. Try not to do that. I do get bored sometimes, I'll be honest with you guys, but always trying to find something to do. Right to work is, I think that there's positives and negatives there. There really is. There's positives and negatives, but I think that it's misused more than utilized correctly, and I think that it's not so much that the policy itself is corrupt, but that people are generally corrupt in this day and age. And well, I say in this day and age, but it's not a new thing. But people are more openly and brazenly corrupt. Talking with my mother, she said, nobody has a work ethic anymore. Nobody values workers. Nobody wants to do anything. And I said, you're right. I was always complaining about how nobody had any kind of work ethic. I mean, I would see it all the time. I'll tell you guys a quick story here. Obviously before I lost my job, a couple of months before that, I caught someone sleeping on the job. And I'm not talking about someone on, they always expect people that were on my shift, the midnight to 8 a.m. shift, to sleep because they're stupid. They would always say, don't fall asleep, don't let us catch you sleeping. It's like, why would I sleep? This is my time to be awake. I mean, if you're on a double, and that may be one thing where you may be getting tired, but like I sleep during the day, well, I used to, so that's like, why would I, that never, the fact that they would always assume that people on the 12 to 8 would fall asleep kind of drove me crazy, because it was indicative of, to be honest, the straight up discrimination that we face. I went into it a little bit last week, but I always called us the misfit children, because of the way we were treated, the way that we were looked down upon, and they somehow thought, oh, we do less work, or this and that. But somebody on the 4 to midnight shift, where I was a reliever, look, let me tell you something. When I come into a house, I'm not exactly quiet most of the time. Sometimes I'm trying to be quiet. It depends on the, which house I was coming into. Some of them you want to be quiet because people are sleeping and whatnot. But this was a place where, one guy sleeps with his TV blast, and the other guy's on the other end of the house, and the last one, if she is sleeping, was sleeping with earplugs in, and if she wasn't, well, she's up, and she usually was up. So I come in, and I'm carrying my huge bag of tricks and kind of banging my way in, and I see one of the patients, and I greet her, and I say hi, and I was kind of wondering where the staff was, because usually you see them right when you come through the door, and I knew they weren't in, any of the clients' bedrooms, because one, I was able to see in as I walked up the stairs, and the other two were closed with the lights off. And I thought maybe they might be in the bathroom, but they weren't, because that was also closed with the light off. So I said, "Where's the staff?" And the patient says to me, "She's sleeping on the couch." And I'm like, "Well, what the fuck?" And she laughs. I said, "How long has this been going on for?" She goes, "Oh, about 45 minutes." So, I looked over there, and I was like, "Wow, yeah, she didn't just fall asleep. She wasn't just laying. Well, she was laying. She wasn't just sitting on the couch like in a position where you're kind of watching TV and maybe you drifted off kind of thing. She was laying down. I mean, all she needed was a fucking binky and a blanket. And it would have been quite a cute scene. And this was a new person. This person just started. So I'm like, what the fuck? So of course I got to do the right thing, because look, I mean, I know that some people would come in and they'd find somebody sleeping and they would kind of cover for them, because either they were friends with that person, they don't want them to get in trouble, they don't want them to possibly lose their job, or just they don't want them to get fired, because then that's a lot of open shifts, and that means that more people are going to get mandated, and such things would happen. But let me tell you, I don't agree with that. To me, it was always about the patients, and you know, what would have happened if something happened to one of these people when, you know, she's fucking sawing logs on the couch like that? So I'm, you know, and it's ridiculous to me. I mean, I can understand if you're tired and maybe nothing's going on, but, you know, one of the patients says, I mean, sit and talk with her, you know, do something. I mean, I've gotten to the point where I was very tired and felt like I could have possibly fallen asleep. And you know what I would do? I would like fucking, well, I would try to drink some coffee, or I would just like start slapping on myself. I'd start walking around, start moving my body to just get me out of that almost falling asleep feeling. You know, I never fell asleep on this job. So to me, it was kind of like, to me, it's kind of offensive because I'll be honest with you, that is the basic, the very base expectation of any job is that you be conscious during it. I can't think of a single job where you could just fall asleep like that and that's okay. And especially when you have other people's lives in your hand, it's fucking crazy. So of course I called the supervisors, and I get this one supervisor. She's not really that good, but well, she was better than the worst. We'll just put it to you that way. So I was like, I get this certain mean voice where they can tell that I'm pissed about something. And she's like, what's wrong? And I said, I just got to, well, I won't say the name of the house, but I just got here, and the 412 staff is fucking dead ass asleep on the couch. And she's like, oh, well, we'll have to look at the camera. They had cameras in the common areas. And I said, no, you don't understand. She's still asleep. And she's like, oh, well, then I'll be right over. But then she wasn't right over because she had to like drop someone off or something. So it took her like 15 minutes to get there. The patient said she'd been asleep for like 45 minutes. And now it's like an hour. She finally gets there. Still not waking up. And me and this patient are sitting at a table about 10 feet away from her head, talking to each other, not making any efforts to be quiet. You know, not really. I mean, not trying to be quiet, because I'd like her. I don't want to go over and wake her up, but I'd like her to wake up and get the hell out. You know what I mean? I'd like her to wake up and get the hell out of the house. You know. So the supervisor comes and wakes her up, and, you know, gives her a speech about, you know, look, you know, our patients are, you know, safety's in your hand and this and that. And I thought she handled it rather well, actually, but, you know, but that's the thing. Nobody has any work ethic anymore. And this is what drives me. That person didn't get fired. They didn't lose their job. And I was not the first person to complain about them having to. I could tell you stories about this one girl that would make you say, what the fuck, you know? I mean, that was the fourth problem I'd have with her, and it was obviously the most severe problem that I had with her. And, you know, I did let the supervisors know about all this stuff. She's still there, and I'm not. That's what drives me fucking crazy. So, obviously, they don't value hard work. They actually seem to, you know, the opposite of that. The opposite of that. They don't value hard work. They seem to value laziness and whatever. So I don't know what they value anymore, to be honest. I'm going to move on here. Oh, that's what I just read. Playholder. I think they mean placeholder, but it says playholder. Wait, incompetent isn't a nice word? My friends and I are assholes to each other. Well, that's the thing about friends. You don't have to be nice to them. MM Zen says this place of employment sounds like a libertarian's wet dream. Yeah, you don't really know what you're talking about, bro. I've seen little comments like this. He tries to throw shade at libertarianism. I'm a libertarian, and I hated it there. You know, they definitely, like I said, they didn't value anything that libertarians value. They didn't value hard work. They didn't value loyalty, and they didn't value dedication. They valued nepotism. They valued puppets. They did not embodify any libertarian value. And as a matter of fact, I could tell you that, knowing the people that worked there, they all fucking voted for Hillary Clinton. So, you know, I mean, obviously, I would rather she have won than Donald Trump, but I think they were both assholes. But, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, like I said, you really don't know what you're talking about when you say that. It's not a libertarian's wet dream, because a place of business shouldn't be that. It should be a place where the customer comes first, because that's the best business model to keep your business alive and to make money and to engender yourself into the community, and that's what we're trying to do. And to be honest with you, they were hemorrhaging money, and everyone in the community hates them. And I was always, like, when people ask me where I work, I'll be honest with you, 9 times out of 10, I would say Casara Studios, and I would talk about that. I wouldn't mention Progressive Health, because they'd be like, oh, those fucking people, because they've not done well for themselves. So, yeah, definitely not. Definitely not, man. You really have a misunderstanding of what libertarianism is. Nelson Dubois says, damn, that's hectic. I hope it works out and you find a more reasonable job soon. I guess it takes a certain kind of person who can handle that kind of work. There's more to your comment, but I want to pause there. It's not the kind of work that's the problem. It's the management that's the problem. It's the unfairness that I talked about last week that was a problem. It's the forced overtime and it not being done in any kind of fair fashion. It's working some people to death while other people get a free ride. It's just not caring about anything. That is what I mean. Actually working with the clients and helping them, with their day-to-day and having conversations with them and joking around with them. That was a blast. I miss that, to be honest with you. The kind of work that we did, whether it was on the, the 12 to 8 which I normally work, or even on the 8 to 4s, just taking them to their therapies and, making sure that they get to their, appointments and, or if it's a Sunday, sometimes I would have to take them to church or whatever. But I tell you, that was a blast. There was definitely no, no problem with the actual work. It was the hours and it was the way that it was done in an extremely unfair fashion. Let me read the rest of what you said. I've had my share of job situations. One place I worked at a few years ago let me go because of incompetent management with scheduling. People also told me she was heading for a breakdown because everyone I knew who worked there ended up leaving left and right before I did for various reasons. Yeah, rats from a sinking ship, and we had that problem too. We would always have these mass exoduses, and I had the opportunity to leave a couple of times, but I didn't. And I looking back, it was an error. You get this idea that if you stay there and if you're loyal and you continue to plug away, that you'll be rewarded in some way, but not anymore. As Serpent21 says, that's fucking bullshit. Reminds me of the worst aspects of my last retail job. Being taken for granted, lame answers to legit questions, and a stunning lack of care. That does sound familiar to me. I ended up with a new job with more money, benefits, and even a little more pay. A better job is out there, and I know you will get one. Relax for now, get some videos out there, some chaos work out of the way, whatever you need to do. Well, I gotta say, already taken a lot of that advice, working on it. There's a few things here and there that I, maybe prospects, but I'm not like super duper worried about it yet. Okay, MMZen again. Oh, God, I hope this isn't another political comment. Let's see. I wonder if they saw the video of you cooking at a patient's house and got pissed, even though it didn't violate any HIPAA rules. Well, yes and no. That had nothing to do with when I was let go, because that, if you remember, was years ago. And they did find that video somehow, and they did ask me not to do that. And I said, okay, and it wasn't because of HIPAA, because I did not violate any HIPAA rules. I'm actually very aware of HIPAA rules. But I will say that they did have a very romanticized view of what HIPAA was and how it works and how it is actually applied. I was always having to say, look, that's not what HIPAA means. And, and they'd be like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I took a whole class on this shit, So anyway, that was something that happened in the past. I didn't even get written up for that, to be honest with you. The senior supervisor just said, his problem was he thought if I'm filming, a cooking video that I'm not doing my job. And I said to him, well, I'm cooking either way. So if I film it or if I don't film it, that doesn't mean, there's no difference. But I said, look, if you don't want me to do it, I won't do it. And he said, of course we don't want you to do it. I said, all right, no problem. And that's why after that, anytime I did get to do a cooking video, it was at my sister's house, which is a lot better anyway, because I get to hang out with my sister, and then she got involved with it. And then I had to stop that because, like of all the things I talked about last week, with just having no time ever to do anything. And now I have the time, but not necessarily the money to buy all these amazing ingredients. I'm trying to keep it very low budget. So I don't run through all my savings quickly. Moving on, Cody Reed says, sounds like retaliation, and that's a bitch. Wish there was an easy answer. My wife does direct support caregiving, and it's brutal. Good luck, man. Like I said, it can be brutal. Oftentimes, it's brutal because of the way these companies run. I've done it for a long time, not just the 4.5 years there, but, I've done it at other places. And 9 times out of 10, the problem is not with the patients or the actual workload. It's with the way that management is run. And I got to tell you, another person that used to do this kind of thing is Carissa. And, she would tell me stories of when she did it, and I would tell her stories of when I was doing it, and she would say, that sounds familiar. So I think that a lot of these problems are endemic to the industry, unfortunately. As for retaliation, I have given that a lot of thought, and I do think that it had to do with the fact that they broke the law, and I knew it, and they knew that I knew it, because I said it, after, like I said, getting stuck, during the snowstorm till 5:30, and then getting, mandated the very next day, which was ridiculous and unfair to begin with. And I told them it was ridiculous and unfair, but, they were like, oh, there's nothing we can do. But of course there is. But that particular person was just very lazy about trying to fix the schedule. It was always me, it was always me getting stuck, and then them not be able to getting me out of there until, like 5:15, and then getting my car stuck and everything. But I said to them, like, when they didn't come to pick me up, like, at 4, and then it was like 4:30, and I said to one of the supervisors, this is the second day in a row where I won't be getting 8 hours off, and they were just like, well, it's beyond our control. I was like, no, it's really not. It's really not beyond your control. You just get in a car and you come, This is the day. The day of the storm, I could see even then it wasn't, because, like I said, the senior supervisor drives a 4-wheel drive, and he could have come and picked me up, but he just, didn't want to. So, I do believe that you're onto something. That is kind of what I thought that it really was about after I've given a lot of thought. Actually, when I was out with Brendan, we were at the restaurant, and I went to the bathroom, and I kind of had this epiphany in there that that's probably what it was about, that I said, this is the second day in a row that I'm not getting 8 hours off, which is state law, and I'm pretty sure law in any state, that if you work 16 hours in a row, you have to have 8 hours off. Aranamaphone, I hope I'm saying that right, says, I generally assume when something like this happens, they're trying to cut salary costs. After bonuses and raises for 5 years, I imagine they didn't amount to nothing. If they were really picking you out to do the mandatories, they must have just been trying to burn you out and get you to quit to avoid the altercation, but I am pretty cynical. I love the Gamer's Encyclopedia and Clearing Confusion series. I may indeed have to check out that game. Yeah, let me tell you, man, you might be onto something as well. I mean, I don't see how it cuts salary costs, because making other people do overtime and then spending weeks training people that may not even work out, to me, costs more. But at the same time, what you said about trying to get me to quit, there might be something to that. There definitely might be something to that. I do think they were trying to burn me out, because, like I said, at first you assume, well, everybody's got it this bad, But then when you start to see other people that are just happy as a clam, oh, I haven't been mandated ever, or I haven't been mandated in like 7 months, and I'm getting it once or twice a week on average, that seems like really rough, and that's crazy, that's crazy. So, and they would say, oh, it's the luck of the draw, is what they would say, and I was like, well, it shouldn't. First of all, it shouldn't be the luck of the draw. That's unfair. It should be, like I said, it should be, who's gone the longest without getting stuck, and then if it comes down to it, you do it based on seniority. But they didn't give a shit. Finally, Alex Shannon says you should... Oh, is this finally? Oh, no, there's a couple more. Alex Shannon says you should probably get a Patreon campaign going for your channel. If I do some sort of crowdfunding for you guys to help me out, it would probably be through GoFundMe. Patreon kind of bugs me, because you have to make content specifically for patrons. And then I feel it puts too much... Like, if somebody wants to donate and help me out, I want them to do it because they want to do it, not because they think that they're going to get extra content out of it. I don't want to try and say, oh, I got all this amazing content that you guys are not going to see unless you give me money. Very much runs against the grain of why I'm doing this. I'm doing this not for money, but for fun anyway. I mean, I don't make dick off of YouTube. I mean, there was a time where I was making okay money off of it, but it was never enough to make a living off of. And now the bubble's completely fucking burst. Advertisers are fleeing YouTube because of idiots like JonTron and PewDiePie, and it's just a mess right now. So like trying to make money through YouTube already is already ice skating uphill, and then in this current climate, and adding Patreon to it and trying to do extra content and everything, it's like ice skating uphill while Gorilla throws shit at you. So I like I said, it would probably just be through GoFundMe, and I'm not at that point yet. I really don't want to go down that road, so we'll see how it happens. That was a long one. Stormcrow 95. Oh, it's not long. It just looked long. Hashtag potato. Been a while, Necro, but looks like you and I are both looking for jobs. Hate that this happened to you on account of how it happened, but as nice as that job sounds, it looks like that place desperately needs an enema just because of who did what and for the reasons gone over. Yeah. They, enema is putting it lightly. They have enemas. I never had to actually give an enema. I've had to give many suppositories, which is, well, it's probably worse. It's not as bad for the patient because it's just one quick thing up the ass and that's it, but it's definitely worse for the person giving it because you have to stick your finger up there. And I give plenty of those. And let me tell you, the first time I did it, it was weird. It was I did it and it was like, that is not at all how I expected that to feel or go, and I didn't feel right for days after that. I felt like, man, I've had my hand in a guy's ass. But then after a while, it's just like, yep, here you go. And I would joke about it, Like we had this one patient that actually liked the suppositories, and he, is it suppository day? And I'm like, yeah, man, you got about an hour left. I'll come in there and give you the finger. And he thought that was very amusing. He was a good one to joke around with. Let me go back to your comment. But yeah, they had enemas, but they need worse than they need like a hot poker up the ass. Best of luck to us both. And as I reapply to see if this form gets lost like the last one, or get that we'll call and consider you lip service. But oh well, right? Good luck. I actually called someone out on that once when I was job hunting years and years ago, and they said we'll call you either way. They always say we'll call you either way, because let me tell you something. They're only going to call you if either you got the job or they're still considering you and they need you to do like a second interview or something. They're not going to call you to tell you you're no longer in consideration. They're not going to tell you that you didn't get the job. It's just not going to happen. Nobody does that. Nobody has ever done that as far as I know. I've never had anybody call or email or text or anything to tell me that I didn't get a job. And they always say that they will. We'll tell you either way. We'll call you either way. And they never have. And I got sick of hearing it. And I knew I wasn't going to get this job because I didn't really want it. And the interview went okay, but it was so many red flags that I didn't want this particular job, and they said, we'll call you either way. And I just looked straight at this lady and said, no, you won't. And she was kind of like, not offended, but affronted, like she was surprised that I called her out. And she said, well, we will. We always call everybody, whether they get the job or not. And I said, that's never happened, and I very much doubt it. And you know what? Never heard from them again. Which is fine by me, because first of all, I didn't want to work there anyway because there were so many red flags, and secondly, because I wanted to be right. You never want to be, well, sometimes you want to be proven wrong, but not in that situation. I mean, if she called me and said you got the job, then I might be a little different. I don't know if I would have taken it at that point. But okay, last comment is from Crazy Snas 181, who says, wow, man, that sucks. Hopefully things get better. Anyways, good luck in the future and everything else. Hope it all turns out all right in the end. Well, it usually does. And change is good, right? Change is good. But yeah, thanks for the comments, guys. I really would like some feedback on the Juice Lee interview too. So if you guys could go back and, first of all, it was a great episode. Like I said, even if you're not into like hip hop music or anything, if you're at all into gaming or geek culture or anything, you definitely want to listen to this interview. It was very good. Please go back, listen to that if you haven't, or if you have, give me some feedback, give me some questions or something. Give me something I can, because I still talk to him, obviously. Say, hey, look, this person said this or this person said that. So there was something that came out of it, because really, like I said, I was trying to help him, he was trying to help me, and I would like something to come out of that. I really just wanted to answer your questions and comments. One last thing that I want to talk about before I cut this one short is some changes to the schedule of uploading. I wanted to get rolling on the Education of Isaac series, so something's kind of got to give. I want to scale back the Isaac videos a little bit for that. So everything's going to be pretty much the same. Saturday, you're going to get Afterbirth Saturday, obviously, and the whatever seeded run video I have. It's the synergies that I'm going to stop on that are on Thursdays. I just, kind of, I think everybody does those types of videos for Binding of Isaac, and it's like whatever. I'd rather do the seeded runs than the Saturday videos. PotatoCast, gonna try to get that out as much as possible. That'll be Saturday as well. But on either Thursday or Friday, I haven't decided yet. Well, as well, we'll start to see those Education of Isaac videos come out. Been thinking about that, having that in the back of my head forever. And I actually started working on it at one point, but then Afterbirth Plus was going to come out. So that's a whole thing. And even though there's still content coming out in the monthly booster packs, I'll just integrate that in and talk about that. But I do want to get started on that and just really dissecting this game because it's a huge thing for me. Yeah, so that's another thing. So like I said, I'm just going to stop the Synergy videos because they're okay, but, I kind of run out of ideas, and I'd ask you guys for ideas, and you guys would give me some, but then, I would get these comments like, how about an idea based on this character, or how, I'm like, how do I do that? What item, what are you talking about? Some of it, was just kind of, ugh. So, yeah, I'm just going to stop the Synergy videos. I actually don't have any more recorded in the I have one that is uploaded already, but I forgot to publish, so I'll put that up on Thursday, and then, we'll start with that. Movie reviews on hold for a little while because I really got to get rolling on this May feature. It's, it's halfway through April, so either that or I'm just not going to do one this year. I really don't know, but I got to really get rolling. I got to figure something out about that. Yeah, that's about it. Like I said, it's going to be the same normal schedule. Sundays and can't talk. Sundays and Tuesdays RPGs, Mondays and Wednesdays action games. Let me actually kind of go over the schedule for the foreseeable future with you guys. You guys are enjoying the BioShock 2 Let's Play for action games. After that, I have a game called Axiom Verge, which I've recorded 31 episodes of. It was a really fantastic game. It is one of my very rare blind Let's Plays. I usually don't do them blind, but I did that one blind. Fantastic game. After that, Call of Duty 2, that is 27 videos. And after that, Castlevania Lords of Shadow, which I've actually, I'm still recording. I've already done 28 episodes. It's a long game. I'm still recording. I'm just a little bit past halfway through the campaign, and then there's also DLC that I'll have to do, that's going to be blind because I've never played the DLC. What's beyond that, I don't know, because that's what I'm recording right now. For RPGs, we're doing Breath of Fire. That's going to go on for still some time because it is 62 episodes. Pokemon Fire Red is after that. That's 59 episodes. Looking back on the footage for that, it's a little cringy because it was like my first time playing a Pokemon game in a long-ass time. And I've never played Fire Red. So a lot of it was trying to pull from memory and trying to remember things, and a couple of the typings that I got were fucked up, or I was remembering things wrong, and some of it I was trying to apply shit that I knew from the new games, because I've just recently gotten back into I was into Pokemon a long time ago, and then I got out of it, and then I got into it more recently, and I was like, let's do a Let's Play. But some of the things I say, you're just going to have to forgive me on that. After that, Final Fantasy III, that's 38 episodes. Looking past after that, and this is not set in stone, it's set in shoe polish. After Castlevania Lords of Shadows, the next action game, I don't fucking know, actually. I really don't know. I have a couple of ideas, but we'll see. I kind of wanted to do... let me bring up my Steam. I mean, I don't know. I kind of wanted to do... at one point, I was trying to get a Let's Play going for Mortal Kombat 9, actually. This not the story mode, but the arcade mode. And just kind of do all the endings, but... the game doesn't like to be recorded, so I might actually go back to Mortal Kombat X and do the arcade mode and the ladder modes for those. That might be kind of cool. There's a couple other games I might do just here and there. For RPGs after that, I will be doing a Let's Play of at some point or another of Chronicles of Dark Lord Tides of Fate Remastered, which is a remake of the original game. And Ys, Oath, and Felghana is another one that I really want to play. Haven't played that one in a long-ass time. Played it on PSP when that came out. But anyway, I'm gonna stop here. Leave me your questions and comment. Let me know what's going on, and I'll see you guys next week with more PotatoCast.